Ryan Ham here, and I have a Benelli model B80, identical to the model B76 except for caliber. I believe there's also a B82 and some other guns that are real similar to this. The bolt in the barrel being a little bit different. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to disassemble it and reassemble it to show you how simple it is and to give you all the pointers that I've learned over the years. The tools you need is a dowel and a narrow punch. I think that's a 1/8 punch, and we'll get at it. Okay, so first step is to clear the gun. Push forward on the magazine release and pull the magazine out. There's no cartridges in the magazine. The gun is clear. Now you want to hold the gun with your right hand. You want to push up on the safety. It has to be off. Pull the slide back and then push up, and that'll lock the slide back. Different than this, which is the slide lock that's actuated by the magazine. Notice how it's a little further back, and that'll help you in disassembly. Also with this up, it'll lock the slide a lot better than the other way. Then you want to take your non-marring tool. It has to be small enough to get in there. A pencil, an unsharpened pencil will sometimes work, but you want to push this little lever up and out of the way. Then do that same on the other side. Okay, with those levers out of the way, you see that there's it'll look kind of like that, and that allows the block to go to the rear. So next step is to push in on the firing pin and simultaneously push down on that locking block, and that locking block will pop right down and right out the back. Let's see, locking block goes like this, and then it'll go right up, and I'll demonstrate how that works before we reassemble it, because that's the only real tricky part. Push the safety down and let the slide forward. The slide rides on this rail here and this rail here, and you can pretty much lift it off at that point. Okay, your slide release also holds the recoil spring in, so you push up on your slide release and you should be able to pull the recoil spring back there. The bolt just falls out. It fell out on me there, but the bolt, you can pretty much just lift it up there. It's not held in by anything. When you've got the bolt off, twist the firing pin and it'll pop out. Once you've got the firing pin out, hold the lever to where it's in the down position, and the spring will just fall right out, and then the lever goes out, and that's it. The gun is disassembled. To put it back together, the first step is we'll put the bolt back together. So the first step in doing that is you've got to have the lever in the right orientation with the small lobe going towards the front and this little channel here going downward, and that's where the firing pin will run. Hold it in on both sides. After you've slid it in, drop the spring in, and the spring will kind of keep the lever from going out. And then you want to observe there's a flat on top of the firing pin there, and that flat has to be up as far as the bolt goes, and that goes underneath that pin there. And then once it gets there, you want to twist the firing pin again. So twist it until it goes all the way forward, and then twist it again 45-90 degrees. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect how the gun goes together any. So the bolt assembly is done. Set that off to the side. This flat on top of the recoil spring assembly has to be up, because it goes underneath the bottom of the barrel like so. When you get it all the way back, wiggle it around, and then you want to push your slide release up. See how that goes? Push your slide release up, and then you can get it to where it's flush or relatively flush with the front of the receiver there. Once you're in that position, put your bolt in the gun. It just drops down. Real simple. Put your slide back on. Pull it all the way to the rear, and when you're all the way to the rear, put your safety on. If the slide doesn't go all the way to the rear and you can't put your safety on at that point, Your problem is probably your recoil spring assembly isn't all the way back, and you weren't doing what you were supposed to do with the slide release. Real common, kind of a trick. All right, so when you've got the locking block in the correct orientation, the round area will be on the front. The little levers will be towards the rear. You want to slide. You want to slide it in like this, and make sure that the top of it is pushing on the firing pin there, and then it just kind of pops right in. At that point, make sure you've got it all the way up, and you should be able to flip your little levers over to the side. That's what it's supposed to look like all assembled. It's all together. Okay, one thing to note about this, there's a slide lock and a slide release. This acts as a slide lock. The proper way to release the slide is not by pushing down on the slide release. The proper way is when the gun is loaded, I'll simulate that by taking the magazine out, pulling the slide back like this and releasing. Very rarely do you want to use the slide release on any firearm, but this one in particular is not designed to use that slide lock as a slide release. Okay, hope you'd enjoyed. If you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, share, comment, and I will try and do a follow-up video of this where I go out and shoot the gun. I also describe a little bit better how it works. So there it is. Goodbye.